When we hear about drug smuggling, the first names that come to our minds are Pablo Escobar and El Chapo. These individuals established their dominance in the drug smuggling business worldwide and amassed so much wealth that they commanded the most dangerous gangs in the world, earning them the title of drug lords. But today's story is about a mere 20-year-old who orchestrated multi-million-dollar drug smuggling operations right from his bedroom, earning him the title of the drug lord of Germany. Surprisingly, his parents, who lived with him, had no idea that their son was running such an operation from their home. In just a few years, he sold millions of dollars worth of drugs throughout Germany from his bedroom, which led to him being known as the bedroom dealer in the drug smuggling world. So, who was this 20-year-old, and what led him to become Germany's drug lord? Today's story is about a young man named Max Million Smith, also known as Max. Max lived with his parents in the city of Leipzig, Germany, where they had a house. In that house was Max's room, which, although not very large, was his safe space. Max spent all his time in his room since his parents did not interfere in his life, meaning they never entered his room. Max liked being alone in his room, so he always kept his door locked from the inside. But the big question was, what was Max doing in that locked room that he never left, and why did he not let anyone enter? Max had a computer, and since he spent all his time in his room, he had no friends. So he spent most of his time chatting online with strangers. This was in 2013, when online chat rooms were popular places where people would spend hours talking to strangers and making new friends. During one of these online chats, Max befriended a boy, and they would spend hours chatting about video games, movies, and various websites. One day, during a chat, Max's online friend asked him if he knew about a website called Silk Road. Max replied that he had no idea about it. Hearing this, Max's friend told him that Silk Road was a marketplace on the dark web where all sorts of illegal goods were sold. To explain, websites on the dark web cannot be accessed using a normal browser and require specific software and secure browsers. Initially, Max didn't take this seriously, but later that night, as he was browsing on his computer, he remembered what his friend had told him about the dark web. His curiosity grew, and he decided to explore it. In no time, Max downloaded the necessary browser to access the dark web. Nervously, he searched for Silk Road and hit enter. What he saw left him in shock. The website listed various types of drugs for sale, including ecstasy, cocaine, and marijuana. Max was astonished and excited by the idea that anyone could order drugs online from the comfort of their home. All transactions on this website were done using Bitcoin to keep the identities of buyers and sellers anonymous, making it difficult for the police to trace anyone. Max's interest in the website grew, and he spent hours scrolling through it. He was fascinated by the descriptions sellers wrote for their drugs and the reviews from customers about the products and services. After closely examining the website, Max realized that its primary purpose was drug sales. The presence of numerous sellers indicated that selling drugs on the site was highly profitable with minimal risk of getting caught. As Max delved deeper into the website, he became increasingly drawn to the drug trade. The high profit margins from selling drugs on the site changed his perspective completely. This marked the beginning of Max's journey from an ordinary 20-year-old to becoming Germany's biggest drug lord. Max decided that he too would become a drug smuggler, but the most surprising part was that he chose not to sell drugs on the Silk Road website. Because he decided to create his own website to deliver drugs to people. Max was confident that he could build a website even better than Silk Road. He contacted his online friend again, and told him that he liked the website he had mentioned, but there were some shortcomings that needed to be fixed. Max suggested that they could create a website together that would be superior to Silk Road. He explained that their website would have better security measures and be more user-friendly, attracting more customers to visit their site and order drugs. They would ensure timely delivery of the drugs, surpassing Silk Road's services. However, upon hearing this, Max's friend became nervous and told him that it was completely illegal and that if they got caught, they would be in serious trouble. Consequently, he refused to join Max in this venture. After this conversation, Max decided to pursue his idea alone and turn it into reality by creating a website that would set new standards of success. He was determined to build this website at any cost and was ready to take any risks. As a result, he spent days and nights understanding every intricate detail of Silk Road and noting them down. During this time, Max noticed some drug sellers with good prices and others with excellent customer service, but none that offered both. Max was looking for a seller who could provide both good prices and excellent customer service, along with top-notch product quality. Max didn't just want to sell drugs through the website, he wanted to revolutionize the online drug smuggling world and provide his customers with an unparalleled shopping experience that would make them return to his website repeatedly. However, he had several questions, the first being how he would deliver drugs to his customers better than Silk Road. The second question was how he would provide excellent customer service. Max wanted to maximize his profit margins and knew very well that if he could answer these questions, he would be successful in creating a website better than Silk Road, revolutionizing the online drug smuggling industry. Before building the website, the most crucial task for Max was to find a supplier from whom he could buy drugs to sell on his site. During his search, he contacted a drug dealer on the Silk Road website named R. R provided Max with the prices and mentioned that payment would need to be made in Bitcoin. He also explained that the parcel would be delivered to a pack station. Pack stations are parcel services where people can drop off their parcels and the service then delivers them to the designated pack station, from where the recipient collects them. These pack stations are usually located in public areas like train stations, shopping centers, or nearby residential areas. This system had a significant loophole, allowing people to smuggle drugs online. The best part of this process was that the parcels were neither checked nor directly delivered to anyone's home, making it very difficult to catch the sender or receiver. After understanding the entire process from R, Max placed his first order and provided the address of a pack station near his home. A few days later, Max went to the pack station, collected his parcel, and returned home. This was the first illegal drug parcel Max had ordered from the dark web. Max encountered drugs for the first time, so he began to check their smell and texture. He also searched the internet to learn how these drugs were used and their effects on the brain. Max scoured the Silk Road website for details on all the drugs being sold because he wanted to know how other sellers were pricing and marketing their drugs. He needed good photos of the 3 drugs he planned to list on his website, and then he had a brilliant and unique idea for the photo shoot. Max had an Xbox with a surface as shiny as a piano, reflecting light beautifully. He played a video of a burning fire on his TV and placed his Xbox in front of it, creating reflections that looked professional and visually appealing in the photos. With his supplier secured and a method for obtaining and delivering the drugs via pack stations, Max now had professional-looking photos of the drugs to upload and sell on his website. The final task was to build the website itself. Max named his website Shifu's and spent several days designing the layout and interface and listing his products. His focus was on making the website very user-friendly so that more customers could easily place orders. Remarkably, Max didn't place his illegal website on the dark web but on the regular internet, meaning that anyone could access it without needing a secure browser typically required for dark websites. He included a review and rating section where customers could leave feedback on the products and services. Unlike Silk Road, which had various sellers, Max was the sole seller on his website. He also added a question and answer section where he responded to queries and provided information on shipping and privacy policies. With these steps, Max was ready to start his journey in the online drug trade, revolutionizing the way drugs were sold and delivered. The website was completed in about 2 weeks, and Max published it on Christmas Day. Because the site was accessible on the regular internet, people were initially skeptical about its legitimacy, as illegal websites were typically found on the dark web. They also feared losing their money after placing an order. Launching this website on the open internet was a risky and dangerous move, one that most others would never dare to take. However, driven by his desire to make a lot of money, Max took this bold step without fully considering the potential consequences. Although Max had successfully created the website, he faced the challenge of generating initial sales. He was used to working from his room and rarely went outside. While he could handle customer service from his computer, increasing sales was proving difficult. Max then thought of his online friend who had introduced him to Silk Road. He messaged his friend, explaining that he had created a website called Shifu's Flakes over the past 2 weeks and needed help boosting its sales. He waited for a reply, but none came. Orders began to trickle in, but Max's friend still hadn't responded. Max messaged him again, asking where he was and informing him that orders were starting to come in and he needed his help. After waiting a few more days without a reply, Max decided to handle all the orders himself, including packing and delivering them to the pack station. Max began gathering all the necessary equipment for packing, starting with an electronic weighing machine to measure the drugs. The second piece of equipment was a vacuum sealer for sealing small plastic pouches. He was determined to manage every aspect of the operation, from handling orders to ensuring they were securely packed and delivered. Max bought all the necessary equipment for packaging the drugs discreetly, without his parents noticing. These included a vacuum sealer to remove air from plastic pouches and seal them, and a heat sealer to securely close the pouches. Max lacked detailed knowledge and experience about drugs. He simply ordered drugs online from Silk Road and sold them on his website. Because of this, he often faced challenges in dividing the drugs into smaller portions, resulting in customers sometimes receiving incorrect quantities. Once Max ordered MDMA, which looked like a white stone. He wanted to break it into smaller pieces to match customer orders. Despite attempting to cut it with a knife, the drug was too hard to break. After some frustration, Max decided to contact his supplier, Red Bull, from whom he usually bought marijuana on Silk Road. He asked Red Bull for advice on how to break and handle the drug. Surprisingly, Red Bull, unlike typical Silk Road sellers who focused only on transactions, was very helpful. He instructed Max to place the MDMA in a plastic box and gently break it with a hammer, also advising him to cover his face to avoid inhaling the powder. Max adhered to 2 main rules in his drug smuggling business. He would never meet customers personally, and he would ensure no one suspected him when placing parcels at pack stations. These precautions helped him evade the police. Using pack stations for parcel deliveries greatly assisted Max, as he could pack and place parcels there, from where they would be sent to customers' homes. Max's parcels would reach the pack station, and from there, customers would collect them without anyone knowing the contents or the identities of the sender and receiver. Within a short time, Max's website became very popular, earning customers trust who believed that it offered the best quality drugs and excellent shipping. This feedback was evident on Max's website, Shiny Flex, where customers left their reviews and ratings. Consequently, the number of orders on Max's website kept increasing. Max started receiving 35 to 40 orders daily, earning 75 to 80 euros each day, a significant amount for a new online store. Despite never marketing his website, the orders grew due to word-of-mouth publicity by his customers. Many customers, being drug addicts, repeatedly ordered from his site. Max began to enjoy the entire process, seeing drug smuggling as a challenge and taking pleasure in conducting his business under the police's nose. Unlike other drug sellers who did it for money, Max did it for fun, which helped him evade the police. Most of Max's customers were from Germany, but soon he started receiving orders from other countries, including Indonesia, China, and Australia. To keep track of all orders, Max created an Excel sheet where he saved all customer details like username, email address, order number, and the items ordered. Using this list, he would contact previous customers and encourage them to buy drugs again, ensuring they kept ordering from his website. Although this was against the website's privacy policy, which stated that no private information would be registered, Max recorded all personal information and used it to recontact customers. Max's main focus was to strengthen his relationship with customers in every possible way. ensuring they kept returning to his website for their drug purchases. Max started adding packets of gummy bears to the parcels he sent to customers. This gesture was so well received that customers began leaving very positive reviews on Max's website. 6 months into his operation, Max had earned enough bitcoins worth $1 million, back when a single bitcoin was valued at $400. Despite his success, Max was still running the entire drug smuggling operation by himself. However, he encountered a new challenge while he had a high volume of orders. His drug supply from R was becoming an issue. Max began placing larger orders worth millions of dollars with R, who could fulfill them without any problems. However, the large quantities posed a new problem: how to deliver such a significant amount of drugs to Max. These quantities were too large to be delivered through the pack station or by mail. Then Max came up with a brilliant idea. He told his supplier to deliver the drugs to an address he would provide, and he would send someone to collect them from there. The supplier was unaware that the address Max gave was actually Max's own home address. To keep his identity hidden, Max never revealed to the supplier that the delivery address was his home. Two significant questions arose during this large-scale drug smuggling operation. First, was it too risky to give his home address to the supplier? Second, how would Max bring the large drug parcels into his room without his family noticing? For the first question, Max believed that if someone saw the parcel outside his house, they wouldn't suspect anything because he frequently received packages. For the second question, Max had to be extremely cautious and strategic about how he handled the deliveries to avoid arousing any suspicion from his family. Max used to order electronic gadgets regularly. As for the second question, Max had a peculiar relationship with his parents. Since he spent all his time in his room, he cooked his own meals and cleaned his room himself. Max's mother's only task was to wash his clothes and leave them outside his room in a basket so that he could collect them and dry them as per his convenience. Seeing Max and his parents together made it seem as if strangers were living under the same roof, and they rarely spoke to each other. This was why Max found it very easy to bring the large parcels of drugs into his room during the large-scale drug smuggling operation without anyone asking him about it. More than a year had passed since Max had begun his online drug smuggling business. However, they say that the wrong job does not have a long life. And during this time, something happened that ended the business of Max forever, because Max used to deliver some orders through the post also because of the reason that many customers had no pack station near the house. Max used to put only the address of the customers on these parcels and put these parcels in the post box on the side of the road, and these parcels would reach the customer from there, and this was the reason that the parcel of Max was caught. Many times customers do not meet at home due to the parcel or due to any other reason. The parcels could not be delivered to the customers, and because Max did not put his address on these parcels, and the reason for not having a return address, these parcels would return to the post office again. In the beginning, these parcels stayed in the post office for many days, but when they were opened and checked, the ground under the feet of the employees there slipped. Similarly, parcels were also found in many different post offices, the news of which was given to the German police. As soon as the German police began their investigation, they first extracted the addresses written on parcels. With the help of these addresses, they reached out to customers who had ordered drugs from Max. Upon questioning these customers, the police discovered that all orders were placed on a single website named Shiny Flakes. Upon learning this, the police were taken aback and were shocked to realize that such a website existed on the internet, accessible to anyone openly selling drugs. Upon identifying the website, the police realized that their next step was to reach the creators of the website, through whom they could trace the drug smuggling gang. However, this task was not going to be easy. With the assistance of a cybersecurity specialist, the police began scrutinizing the website, where they found that all information was hidden. The domain of the website and the details of its creators were registered on a US-based server managed by a company named Cloudflare. The police attempted to contact Cloudflare to obtain information about the creators of the website. However, Cloudflare clearly stated to the police that sharing any private information about their customers would violate their policy, and they could not provide any details about the customers. Following this, the police stood at a dead end in their investigation. Although Max was only 20 years old at the time, he was very cunning and clever. It was for this reason that he had hidden all the details of the website, knowing very well that if the police reached the website, they would have to approach the server company to investigate the creators. The server company would not disclose any details against their policy. Max had chosen Cloudflare's server because they provided the best security service, which would resist any attempt. Hacking into the cybersecurity was nearly impossible, and no matter what happened, Max's website would remain online. When the police understood they couldn't catch Max through the server company, they decided, as a last resort, to try to catch the website's owner through undercover agents and surveillance. Meanwhile, Max was reaching new heights in his online smuggling business. He began receiving 4,000 to 5,000 orders daily, with sales ranging from 40 to 50,000 euros per day. Despite handling packing of parcels himself, Max managed supply, sales, shipping, and website operations alone. This forced him to work day and night, which took a toll on his health and quality of life. Max began sleeping only 3 to 4 hours a day, and his stress began to impact his health. Due to this, errors started creeping into his order processing, affecting his business. Max, who had always prioritized customer service, began receiving complaints about late deliveries and poor product quality. Meanwhile, the police intensified their surveillance on the city streets, focusing on post boxes and closely observing anyone placing parcels inside. The police were now left with only one option to catch the mastermind behind this online drug smuggling operation. Just a few days later, the police achieved their first success in this investigation, which they had been working on for the past year. Through their informants, the police learned that a person was often seen at packing stations and post boxes, and they suspected illegal substances were being transported in these parcels. Rather than immediately arresting the individual, the police began monitoring him closely. Within days, they observed him retrieving a parcel from a packing station, and upon opening it during interrogation, they found cocaine and MDMA inside. It became clear to the police that they had the right person. When pressured, the individual revealed his name and how he conducted drug sales, astonishing the police. It turned out that the person they caught was none other than Max himself, who disclosed that he shipped all these drugs through the shiny Flakes website. The police were both pleased and surprised because they had finally caught the person they had been looking for over the past year. They had suspected Max because they believed he. The police, under pressure, questioned Max about the other gang members. Max claimed he operated alone and had no gang. Pressing further, the police asked about the parcel placed at the packing station and the person involved. Max revealed it was his supplier, known as Red Ball. The police were already monitoring Red Ball and decided to arrest him too. On February 26, 2015, the police prepared to raid Red Ball's home. Inside, they found Max, surrounded. Initially shocked, Max couldn't understand what was happening until the police informed him of his arrest. Realizing this was the end of his drug business, Max couldn't believe it was all over in an instant. What he had built and earned over time was now abruptly finished. What surprised the police most was that Max had managed the entire drug smuggling operation alone at just 20 years old. The drugs they seized from Max exceeded their expectations, amounting to nearly 500 kilograms hidden throughout his house. To transport all the seized drugs, the police had to call in a van. The street value of the drugs was estimated at 2 million euros. During the trial, Max received a sentence of 7 years in prison and a 3 million euro fine due to his cooperative behavior. After serving just 4 years, he was released from jail. The police managed to seize a portion of Max's money, including access to 3 Bitcoin wallets containing an estimated total of $10 million. They aimed to seize this money as soon as possible. This story truly encapsulates the astonishing rise and fall of a 20-year-old involved in illegal activities. This story is about a boy who, from his own room, established a drug empire worth millions of dollars, a feat unnoticed even by his parents. He has now etched his name in history as Germany's largest drug lord. How did you find this story? Comment in the section below, like the channel, and subscribe to Inside.